looking below. We could be free. We could be free. Finally, we could be free. I've been through the darkest of caves and suffered on the steps of the end of the road. Painted with passion, my favorite color. Open the life when the story gets old. We could be free. We could be free. Finally, we could be free. I ain't at home. Home's where I'm going. I close my eyes to see. I'll take my throne, lay it on a mountain, and make myself a king. Kick through the shackles, walk through the chains. There's no reversals, no one to blame but you. I said, make myself a king.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Week 3 of the Coca-Cola Zero League of Legends Champions Korea Summer 2016. And welcome to a very special night of LCK as it's a rematch. The World Championships and the Spring 2015 Finals. This is going to be absolutely crazy as the now no longer ROX Tigers take on SKTelecom T1.
Yeah, and tonight's series is going to be absolutely tremendous. This is probably the biggest rivalry that Korea has going on right now between these two teams. They collided in the World Finals last year, they collided in the Spring Season Finals, and now this will be their first collision in LCK Summer 2016, so this is a really big match.
And you can see there on your screen, Gorilla, Prey, Kuro, Peanut, and Smeb playing, of course, with their reserve player, Cry, and Coach King Sang-soo. Interesting to see Cry. We might be seeing him a little bit later on, depending on how hot a big Azir is. But as you guys can hear by the audience screams, we have a packed-out house here at the Nexon Arena in Gangnam, Seoul, South Korea. So if you're down here, come on down and witness ROX Tigers versus SKTelecom T1. Duke with Bengi starting in the jungle, Faker, Bang, and of course Wolf. Flank's going to be taking a seat, and SKT, like what can't you say about this team? Didn't see them week 1, and then week 2 they were dominant.
Yeah, SKT came out in both of their series winning dominantly, so they are 4 wins and 0 losses right now, and this will be their 3rd series against ROX, whereas ROX has played, I think 6 games now, respectively. SKT is just a monster. Now, I am surprised, though, to see Bengi play in this series, not because, you know, he's necessarily worse than Blank, but we didn't see him too much, you know, for the spring split, and you know, this series he hasn't been having too much of a good time in solo queue, but he is being fielded today, so that's very interesting. But the champion pools between Bengi and Blank are relatively similar.
That is true. They do share some champions, and of course the jungle champion pool itself, not the most diverse out there. We've seen some experimentation, but for the most part, can't expect some similarities there. You can see for our match points here, some big question marks. How is this matchup going to work out, you know, since we've seen these teams play last season? It was a big matchup, rivalry from Worlds, and of course, a lot going on between these two teams. A big matchup in the mid lane we'll be watching out for is going to be Kuro versus Faker, and how big a pick Azir is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reed Rapid Melton with Nicholas LS to Cesare, and we are moments away from getting into this game. All the players are in the lobby, and I don't know about you, I am super excited for a lot of reasons. Not only because this is just one of the biggest rivalries in League of Legends, but also because we get a chance to finally judge the real power of both of these teams. I don't think you can find a better matchup between these guys. I mean, Samsung looked pretty hot. Jin Air Green Wings look really good right now too, but it doesn't get a whole lot better than SKT versus Tigers.
Right. ROX had a little bit of a rough first series, but I don't think that was really indicative of their true skill level. I think they were just a little sloppy in that first series. But then, ever since then, we've seen them just improve, and they're back to being the old ROX Tigers. And I think that one of the most interesting dynamics of tonight's matchup is ROX's massive champion pool across all lanes, except for the mid lane, where they tend to focus on control mages a little bit, and the Azir. But I don't think that we're going to be seeing Azir get picked tonight. Faker has gotten to play Azir 4 times every single game, and I think that'll be taken away. But we're about to jump into pick and ban here, so let's see what sort of team compositions ROX is ready to bring out.
We are still on patch 6.10, so no brand spanking new updates. Still have the old Trinity Force and all kinds of things like that. So not too many changes. Same patch as last time.
No Aurelia, no Jax.
Oh boy.
Not yet.
I'm just waiting, man.
It's coming.
I've got my solo queue prepared, but let's talk about the bans here. Things we can expect to see. We've got the first ban, no surprises there, will be an Azir. Ezreal, also a big AD carry ban that we've seen Bang play every single game, so probably we'll see that either picked or taken away. And of course, the Maokai ban, just to sort of shake up the top lane, not allow that as a counter to things like Echo or Fizz.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I know that at the screen there it says Nidalee 83.9% ban rate, but for SKT that is a 100% ban rate. They always tend to ban Nidalee and then target ban depending on what team they're playing against. What Nidalee remains constant, and that is always SKT's first ban.
Well, speaking of target bans, you can see the Rise is just taken out there, 80% ban rate, but I believe it is also 100% pick or ban rate if you include that, so nice to see that. And Azir taken away from Faker. What's the last ban for SKT? Looks like they are trying to limit the jungle pool with not only the Nidalee, but also, I guess we can see it on our screen, it's going to be a last ban Kindred.
Yeah, and looks like a first pick Vladimir coming out. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be in mid lane for Kuro, or if that'll be in top lane. I do see a Ghost being highlighted by Sneb, so that might actually be a Vladimir in top with Teleport Ghost. That would be kind of interesting.
That is kind of interesting. Of course, Kuro in the mid lane hovering over a Swain, a pick that we've seen do very well, do very poorly, and specifically for the Tigers, they did not have a great Swain game in their first game of the season. I think Sneb played that, but this might actually be a mid lane Swain, given that we haven't actually seen it transition there.
Let me just say something. I have seen the new Ghost. I know that we see Kuro and Smep both highlighting the new Ghost. I just saw that for the first time ever the other day, and that is absolutely bonkers.
It's really good.
It's really, really good. And now, for SKT, they have the cliche. Man. Is that a Mordekaiser?
Is it the Mordekaiser? I mean, Faker is pretty much the most metal person alive, but I don't think he's quite ready to pull out the Mordekaiser.
Interestingly enough, Swain has a, I know that maybe they were just highlighting Anivia.
Somewhere out there, the Spirit of Froggen is watching from on high. Very interesting. We saw that picked just yesterday in ULCS, a couple of days ago in ULCS, but did not work very well. They just got too far behind too early. No surprise there on the support pick, but rounding out the ROX lineup is going to be Frey and Gorilla on a pretty trademark Ashe and Braum.
Yeah, and
what's the AD carry pick here?
AD carry probably just going to be Sivir, because their team is really slow, and you can't just rely on the Nami to get you into team fights, especially because they don't know, exactly where's Swain going, where's Vladimir going. So this is really interesting. Now, the problem that I have with the Tigers' composition is their damage outside of Ashe and Graves is basically all periodic. So not only is it periodic, it's able to be shut down relatively easy by magic resistance items. Anivia, is that a top lane Anivia?
No. Duke would never do something like that. Okay, dude, if Duke runs this, I'm like new biggest fan. Top lane, you can play just about anything. In fact, top lane this season has had the most diversity for picks, and I don't think that's too surprising. But I remember, okay, yeah,
they swap it back. They swap it back.
Yeah, and you do have to finalize your picks within the final 20 seconds, or before the final 20 seconds, so it is going to be a mid lane Anivia, and of course he will be running Ignite, I believe.
So that is going to be, that's going to be an Ignite Anivia versus a Ghost Vladimir, and we see the Ghost removal from top lane. So I'm wondering if they were actually discussing if Vladimir was going to be in top with Ghost Teleport, so we're going to have a blast from the past with Ghost being run on Vladimir.
I mean, this entire series is a blast from the past, and probably a blast from the future as we get ready for our game number 1. SKTelecom T1 faces off against just the Tigers. They'll be using the ROX tags, but let us know who you guys want to win, ROX or SKT T1. Let's go ahead and get ready for game number 1. You can see the starting lineups up there on your screen. Here we go, game 1. Let's go. A little bit lopsided, but welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift and week 3 of the LCK. Starting off with, of course, a marquee matchup, SKT on the red versus the ROX Tigers on the blue. Now, we will be probably calling them ROX a few times just because of their tags, but their official name now just the Tigers. So, wanted to change things up. The new season, wanted to maybe have some new performances along with it. SKT on a little bit of an invade. Maybe.
Yeah, and we just see both teams going for a little bit of information early on, but nothing's really going to happen. And it looks like we're going to have standard lanes.
A nice double ward there on the Gromp. Gromp feeling like he's got his paparazzi out there, everybody placing wards out there. Just to make sure that, like you said, the information gained is just on starting sides, who's going where. And right now, Tigers are actually getting a little bit of information as looks like Wolf is going to go on a deep mission just to see which side of the map the duo lane will start on.
Yeah, and we can see the Keystone Masters there, and nothing unusual going on from both teams, so it looks like everything is basically standard.
All right, so Gorilla does show on a ward. Wolf just gets a little bit of extra gold. No extra CS just yet. And here we go, starting things off with a standard lane phase. Smeva, of course, up in the top lane on Swain versus Duke's Echo. So it'll be interesting to watch that out. And Kuro, we get to see him on a Vladimir versus Anivia. Been a while since I have seen that matchup in the mid lane. Bringing back some good old Season 2 memories.
Yeah. And so with these team compositions, don't expect too much to happen early on. Basically, it's really difficult for either mid lane or top lane to really secure kills, even with jungler assistance.
Oh man, bottom lane already, some summoners being forced out. Wolf losing that flash. Gorilla lost Ignite, so offensive summoner for defensive one. Of course, Wolf also has Exhaust still available. I see that level 2 power spike still alive and well in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and that was going to benefit ROX a lot more than it's going to benefit SKT because Nami without that flash is going to be a lot more difficult to synergize any sort of ganks with Bengi. And we can see both of the junglers just going for relatively standard opening paths here. And basically, with the team compositions, when you have a Vladimir and when you have a Swain, you really do need to scale up. And SKT also does want to scale up, likewise, fielding that Anivia and the Echo. But again, because of the itemization thing that I talked about in Champion Select.
Peanut, he sees it. The ward is out. Bengi did see that ward be placed, and he is going to reveal that with his razor sharp Raptor buff passive. So just gonna chill out, not go for the blue buff just yet. It's wise to see him react that way, but good delay there by Peanut.
Yeah. And like I was saying, Kuro and Smeb, I think, are going to be able to be shut down pretty easily by, you know, Mortal Reminder or even a Morellonomicon, although I don't see Faker building that.
Well, he's got Ignite, too, so he's always got that for some good old Grievous wounds.
So, I mean, I would give the scaling advantage certainly to SKT, so it's going to be on ROX to really make something happen.
Did get to see a pretty huge a Swain performance from, I think it was Keen earlier on today in NALCS for Apex. He didn't have to worry about too many Grievous wounds coming his way, 'cause for some reason the opposing team just didn't decide to build Grievous wounds. But especially if you get that Mortal Reminder on Bang with ricochets, just go through the entire team, and it's going to mark you up and keep that healing at a minimum. So Peanut spotted out. And what's going on in this Crew League game? We didn't actually get a chance to talk about objectives, as Peanut does make it back to base. But what are both of these team comps designed to do, LS?
Well, both of them are basically at their core scaling compositions. ROX is going to, or Tigers is going to have a little bit easier of a time in the mid game around the time that the first core item would be completed, but that's mostly due to Graves and Ashe and just how powerful the utility can be from them early on, you know, controlling objectives and stuff. So the first dragon is Mountain Drake, which is going to be a lot more beneficial to SKT than it is going to be to ROX, just given the team compositions. So expect SKT to be the ones that maybe want to secure that early on. But it looks like across all of the lanes right now, it's a little impressive. Kuro is actually out-farming Faker at 5 minutes, so that's kind of nice. And Faker is the one to recall first, so kind of a big CS lead, actually, amassed by Kuro in the mid lane.
Yeah, that is actually pretty impressive, considering that Faker is actually, I think, #2 on CS per minute, 9.4, so definitely good at killing neutral minions. And being pointed out there by our observers, that blue buff is still up, so never quite got taken care of. Now Bengi's going to go ahead and get it, and might actually give this one over to Faker, depending. Bottom lane, though, continual harassment. What's going on with this lane matchup in the bottom lane, LS? Who's ahead? Is it just PvE for Bang?
Well, Prey and Gorilla are going to be inherently ahead because of the matchup, even more so because of the early trade that we saw occur early on where Wolf lost his flash. So there's a lot more room for error, actually, for Prey and Gorilla that they can get away with because Wolf doesn't have that flash, and it's a lot harder to synergize gank with Bengi, as I said earlier. So basically, all Bang and Wolf are looking for is the mid game and the later stages of the game, where Bang can, as you mentioned earlier, really show up with Mortal Reminder, get all those Grievous wounds down onto Kuro, onto Smeb, and just provide a ton of utility.
Smeb will hit level 6, so will Duke. He's in a little bit of a rough spot, relatively low, but that's the power of Swain. He's healing on up. Duke had the wave frozen in a really good spot. You could tell he was kind of abusing that.
Yeah. And so again, mentioning the CS differential in mid, as you mentioned, Faker averages almost 7 CS difference at 10 minutes, whereas Kuro actually averages -11 roughly. So to see him actually...
Oh, here we go. Smeb trying to heal up as much as possible. Peanut is here, but Smeb will not last long enough. Peanut trying to go in there, trying to get the angle on that bug shot, but it's not going to hit, and that will be first blood for SKTelecom.
And now, I mean, that rotation was pretty good. I don't know if they can make anything else happen, but it looks like Bengi, being extremely proactive, going to get some counter jungling down onto Peanut, and I really like this play. I don't like what Peanut's doing, staying in top lane and farming the wave. Even though there's no way for Smeb to make any use of it, I think that there's a lot more important things that he could be doing, especially because his mid laner started falling behind to Faker.
See, if that was solo queue, Bengi would say, hey, you already have a blue buff, I get this one. But no, this is Faker. He's going to get not 1, but 2 blue buffs, including even the first one of the game. So Bengi, traditionally very self-sacrificing out. He is going to go into the jungle versus Peanut. Going to get the smite steal there. I think Bengi got that one. He's got a tunnel, so he is A-OK out alive.
Yeah, so Bengi actually putting a clinic on Peanut early on here. And he even has the blue, he has the Chilling Smite, so definitely some aggression coming out, so he's really putting faith into his laners here.
And that's actually one thing that was pointed out in a couple of articles that I read about the ROX Tigers, saying one thing that's been a little bit lackluster for them that used to be a strength was Peanut's early jungle pressure. Traditionally kind of rough, or traditionally very strong, now not quite so prevalent. in the early game.
Yeah. And all that's happening right now is they knew that the enemy bot lane was recalled, but Sivir needs a recall, and as does Nami. So basically, look for them to take some sort of a dragon when SKT's second blue buff comes up.
Smeb coming back to lane after his first buy, even though he's has died and does have about a 15 CS disadvantage. Still doing quite well in the top lane. His mid lane, like you said, just a farm lane for now.
Okay, and now we see that CS differential really coming into play.
Holy cow. Faker.
Kuro is really hurting right now.
Yeah. Faker's pretty good at killing minions, guys. Able to consistently land those combos, getting that Flash Frost in there for a lot of extra damage. Vladimir's got some bonus damage of his own, but he is going to be forced to use that on minions, whereas Faker gets a free trip back to base.
Yeah, and Faker doing an excellent job at CSing and just really pressuring Kuro out of being able to get any sort of free farm or even XP at some point. So really good job by him. So anyways, what we're looking at is in the next 2 minutes or so, when the blue buff comes up and Bengi is able to make his way back over to the right-hand side of the map, Duke is going to have teleport, and Bang and Wolf can probably set up the lane to look for some sort of dragon play.
So this is a Mountain Drake. It's going to be our first dragon of the game. Should be seeing that one in just a little bit, like you said. Give it a couple minutes and see how that one works out. Smeb in the top lane having some struggles. Mid lane, we mentioned that CS differential and how Faker is probably doing pretty well there. Looks like it will be a first item Spirit Visage there for Kuro as well. So what's going on with this Vladimir itemization? I know they changed around his ratios, so is it just better to build health now?
Well, the problem with Vladimir right now, and I mean, he even has the boots of swiftness, which I think is really peculiar. So he's getting beat really, really hard right now, and then he even enables SKT to beat him even further. The boots of swiftness doesn't do anything against SKT.
Bottom lane, nice flash to dodge that arrow away from Prey. Wolf will stay alive. Bang wanting to go back in on the aggressive. Nice knock up there. Prey pretty low. Somebody heals, gonna go out there. Bang will have some more ricochets to throw through. Duke on the teleport. Duke is down there on the TP with Smeb. Smeb now trying to heal up as much as possible. Smeb though in a 1v3. How strong is this new Swain? Not strong enough. Now bottom lane, Banky's still getting thirsty on this one. Will get stunned up there from the concussive blows. A lot of damage down there. SKT want to go in for this dive there. Bang, a pretty low wolf tanking turret. Banky wants to go underneath there, and SKT just can't decide who's going to be the one to take this. Gorilla pretty low. He's got that unbreakable, but it's not unbreakable enough. Duke goes in, gets out. The third kill of the game. Peanut with a counter kill. Gonna go fishing and grab himself one back for ROX Tigers.
Yeah, and had they just backed off a little bit earlier, SKT, I think that honestly that's a blunder there. Bengi clearly taking too much damage early on.
Oh, man. He's getting so greedy. But he's not going to go for it. Yeah. He was on a ward, so.
And here we go. We're about to jump into a replay here, and it looks like Gorilla wanted to do a trade. Prey didn't hit that arrow. If he did, this entire trade would have been an entirely different story. Nami would not have gotten that ultimate down, which means the damage is missing, the utility is missing, and she just would have been lit up.
Yeah, always.
And Swain just getting locked up, so I don't know why Smeb followed, because at that point, Tigers should have been able to convey that they would have been able to get back, and then, you know, SKT is probably going to get Dragon, but you still will maintain teleport advantage.
Kind of confusing because you saw Duke actually, you know, stick around with the rest of his team. Smeb did not. Always better when you play together. Smeb maybe needing a little bit more team play on that one. Now down 0-2, down 20 CS in that matchup, and you can see Duke itemizing a little bit more offensively, grabbing that Sheen up there. Whereas Smeb hasn't completed his Roa yet, so that will be a little bit delayed.
Yeah, and this is just a really sad story because right now, I mean, when you're down almost 30 CS in mid lane at 12 minutes, and you can't really do anything for your team because your itemization is pretty lackluster.
Sneaky. Prey does have his arrow back up again. Gorilla with an ult as well. He is camping out there in that brush. Very quiet. Gorilla waiting out there. In the meantime, SKT, they're out on the map doing stuff, and that stuff is a Rift Herald. So gonna go ahead and try to give this over to Duke to just hammer home that top lane. SKT, really hard to find any way that they're behind right now.
Yeah, and they're going to pick up that Herald, which is going to be absolutely gigantic on Duke, because if there's anyone that can split push, definitely will be him later on, and also being able to be backed up by Rek'Sai means that, for the most part, the only person that can split push or match any sort of split push is going to be Smeb, and that's not too big of a problem. And I'm a little curious why there hasn't been any sort of plays around mid lane, because clearly Faker is able to shove Kuro out of the lane with relative ease, so if Bengi was able to just add some assistance to a shove, they could easily open up a timing against Dragon.
Out of the last 2 games, yeah, it's been, I think, 5 games that SKT have played. Nice to see them including Bengi not only in their previous series, but also here's a starter tonight. I kind of wonder if this is sort of the harbinger of things to come. You know, are we going to be seeing Bengi back at it again? The teacher now back on the main roster. Great performance from his last games, but now we get to see him versus Peanut. Jungler was really hyped up for his early aggression last season. Who gets the smite? It's Bengi!
And that looks like that'll be the trigger, which is going to activate the Dragon card for SKT here. And this should just be a relatively easy pickup. Smeb doesn't have teleport. They really can't contest this. And it looks like they're going to try.
Here we go. It looks like we do have the arrow hits into the pit right on the bank. Peanut should be able to take that one out as Gorilla. Actually zoning off both Wolf and Faker. Nice crystalline wall there by Faker to disengage, but in the end, a good trade there, and that kill on bank will go over to the Tigers. So nice to see proactivity.
Yeah, but I mean, there was no way that they could actually get the Dragon, and I think SKT just had some communication issues right there, because honestly, Bang never should have died. So that was just some positioning error, and ROX doing what they could do is nice, but honestly, just nothing should have been able to come from that. But it's not really going to cause too much of a problem. 2K gold deficit moving into the 16-minute mark. We talked about how both of these teams are scaling team compositions, but the fact that SKT has the stronger scaling team composition, and they're the ones that have utility inside of being able to shut down the Tigers comp, it's not looking good for Tigers. So here we go. Dragon's being taken. You can see Bang goes back in, even though Bengi could have gotten out on the backside. So really questionable why he chose to move into the pit rather than make it out to Wolf and Faker. And then it just enables ROX to pick up that, or Tigers to pick up that kill, but it's not really so big of a problem in the end.
Faker makes his way all the way up to the top lane and then all the way back down towards mid. So nothing really amounting from that. Nice to see Kuro at least trying to keep himself in that lane, but it's just impossible to control that wave against Anivia. Faker had time to make it all the way to top lane, all the way back, and then still one-shots the wave once it gets there. So now a little bit of pressure here being focused on the bottom half of the map. There's no Dragon, but Rek'Sai is down there.
And well, they know that they're there because of Rek'Sai's tremors. Some trades against Kuro, but I don't think it's doing too much.
Right. He does have that spear shot.
Yeah, he's just able to heal up. So without blue buff right now, there's this temporary spike where Kuro's actually going to be able to sustain through Faker's damage, unless that ignite is active and Bengi is there.
Especially with the way that his new healing works, where you just get so much reverse. Now Bengi in the mid lane coming on in. There's a nice wall to pull Kuro aside.
Yeah.
He's going to go ahead and drop that same wooden pool.
Pools are pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. If we had pool party skins in here, they would be more powerful when standing on top of Vladimir.
I think there needs to be a pool party Vladimir skin.
One where he just has earth levels of cooldown on his sanguine pool.
Yeah, a little floaty, floating away.
The sanguine pool party. Bottom lane TP coming in from Duke. Nice to see Gorilla able to get that knockout, but Gorilla very low, has to make it back to his turret. Unbreakable and a flash away from that bubble. Very well placed by Wolf, and TP does draw out that summoner spell. Yeah,
and now SKT immediately should just take the bottom Tier 1 tower, rotate Bengi into mid lane, shove Vladimir out, and then look to take the Tier 1 mid tower. But Faker a little bit low on mana. It doesn't look like they want to try to go for any sort of pressurization trades in mid lane, which is relatively fine. Now, the top lane tower getting traded for the bot lane tower is going to benefit SKT a lot more than it's going to benefit Tigers. And this is mostly just because Echo now is going to be able to lock up that lane, and there's no neutral objective on the bottom side of the map.
Peanut might be in a little bit of trouble. He's actually going to use his ultimate to try to get away there. Has so many stacks of that True Grit. He's not going to be taking a whole lot of damage. But Duke, man, just going in for the 1v2. Now going to be a 2v2 there. Peanut in a little bit of trouble. Does not down from that slow lockdown only onto Bengi. Duke going deep for it underneath that turret. Bengi the one to snipe away that kill. SKTelecom so persistent, but bottom lane. Gray with a solo kill.
That Ash skin looks like the green archer from Gauntlet. Did you ever play those games?
I did. Gauntlet was a reason for many ruined friendships.
Yeah.
Most importantly, does not look like Stephen Amell from Arrows. So just throw that one out there. Kuro, another nice Sanguine Pool. Avoids the all-powerful Nami kick from Wolf in the mid lane.
Yeah, and now all they really need to do here is they need to just have Prey take this bottom tier 1 tower. So anyways, we're about to jump into another replay, and let's just see how this even happens. Okay, well,
It's just a straight up 1v1. Prey's just like, if I click on you, you're gonna die.
if I right-click, you will die. Yeah.
80 carries doing 80 carries things top, and then back in the top lane, Smeb. Mayor of Struggle Town right now. He is not in a great spot, trying to get some damage done onto Wolf, and he's actually in a good spot. He out-healed 3 champions right there, LS.
I don't want to talk about it right now. I just don't. You know what? Let's see how he does when Mortal Reminder and the Ignite comes in a little bit later.
All right, well, currently Ignite is up for Faker, but no signs of any other healing reduction, no mortal wounds out there, so at least for the time being, Smeb will be able to keep that going, and like you actually mentioned during champion selection, there's actually a high amount of magic damage here. Faker, Duke, Wolf, you're going to get a lot of value off of building MR, so you're going to make Swain just tanky enough to survive situations like that.
And basically, Inferno Drake will be the next dragon spawn. You can bet anything that both of these teams want to capture that. That is the most valuable dragon in League of Legends right now.
Also the easiest to understand. It's like, hey, you deal more damage rather than, I think, a lot of people like to malign the Cloud Drake, but as Jat pointed out at the beginning of NALCS this week, every Drake is good in certain situations, just that having more damage is a very common situation where you need some buffs, so very popular dragon, and it's going to be up 3-2-1. SKTelecom right on time.
Looks like they're going to look to burst it down.
Gorilla goes back over the wall with that stand behind me. I did not know it could do that, but SKT dominant on this Drake. Peanut maybe looking for a steal, but Duke there to zone. Who's going to go for it? The answer is not Peanut.
Yeah, and now Duke recalling instantly. And top lane is beautiful now for Duke. He can easily just lock up that lane, and SKT can look to do a 4-man siege on the mid lane turret. And because of that, Anivia and because of Nami, Tigers really can't look.
Stun there on a bang. That was Ash Arrow, but no capitalization on that.
Yeah, as I was trying to say, is basically Tigers can't actually go for an engagement there. It's way too easy for Anivia to just say, hey, no, you're not going to do this, or Nami to cast her ultimate and say, hey, you're not going to do this. And now, because of the situation that the Tigers are in right now, they have 3 losing lanes, and it's just not a very good situation for them to be in.
Smeb taking a lot of damage as he walks forward, just trying to clear that wave, but still about 400 health gone just off of walking up. It's like the bad version of that movie Step Up. Did you ever see
Step Up 1 was good.
Yeah, but Step Up 2 was absolutely terrible. That was the Step Up 2 version where you walk forward and you just feel like you're actually being hit by arrows. That was what the...
Is that going to be like York's rework?
It's like Warwick's rework. Like, shout out to the Riot Balance team, whoever's reworking those live designs, because that is going to be such a tough job to do. And I'm excited to see it when it does finally come out. But pushing here into the mid lane. Faker doesn't care. There's Duke looking for a dive, but just going to pull off. That mid lane turret does go down. Third and final outer turret falling to SKT T1.
That is one angry Articuno in mid lane right now. That is.
I always thought Articuno was like the most, pardon the pun, chill of all of the legendary players. Zapdos, that fight was like, that's the fight you use your Master Ball on. That's one I did.
Zapdos was like your friend's angry mother that every time you went over their house, she was always just complaining about something.
I definitely had lots of angry mothers who shot lightnings out of their beaks at me. That was a common occurrence in my childhood.
Definitely.
Don't ask.
Yeah.
Now here we are around the Baron area with the Tigers just clearing out ward coverage. Going to take out a couple of pinks. Faker will not be able to stop them. And yeah, let's push up the mid lane.
Seraph's Embrace is completed.
Oh boy.
For Faker, so he just got a lot of extra HP basically through the shield that Seraph's Embrace is going to grant him whenever he chooses to activate that. So the team fight that's going to occur within the next few moments, without that Mortal Reminder, they're going to be extremely reliant on Faker's Ignite to really tame Smeb or tame Kuro. But the longer this game goes on, you know, look for the next completion of the next items. That's really when it's going to just shift completely into SKT's favor. And the gold deficit right now heavily benefiting SKT, and also the Dragons are on their side. So Tigers in an okay-ish spot relative to the game time and the items, but the longer that they wait and the longer that, you know, anything takes to happen, it's just going to get worse and worse, and SKT is just going to basically snowball out of control.
Pressuring up on these wards. ROX Tigers, I believe, are the lowest team at clearing invisible wards. Could be bottom 5, but something along those lines. When it comes to invisible wards, they do not do a great job at clearing them. But bottom lane, nice shove in there by Smeb, who will actually start the long, hard trip back towards mid lane. Faker's just going to wall off the ROX Tigers. Gorilla's going to flash over. There's a nice arrow lands onto Bengi. Kuro up there on top of Faker. We'll see if we can get the damage done. Smeb in the back is going to get exhausted there. He's going to be healing up everything. Faker's going into egg mode. They're going to be trying to cook up themselves an Alpha, but Prey gets knocked up, flashes away. Duke right on top of him. Prey is gonna go down. In the meantime, a route there. Peanut gets a double kill, but is it enough? Duke with that nice kill onto Bang, or onto Prey rather. Kuro forced to flash away. We'll see if the Tigers can salvage this. A 2 for 3 overall in SKT's favor.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure, you know, what actually Tigers are going to do in the later team fights, because that was...
Oh, man. Bang's walking up on this. Get a spell shield, a little bit of damage there. Will not be able to chase Peanut, or will he? Peanut's taking the scenic route here. He's going on a field trip. He's just trying to steal as much gold away as he can. Oh, dashing through the woods. Dashing through the woods. Oh, man, Wolf here. He's got blood in his eyes. Big surprise. Peanut trying to run away. There's Bengi, pops the Hex Drinker. Chilling Smites out there, and Peanut goes down to Bang.
Yeah, and the problem with this is, I don't know if Peanut actually thought he could live, but the fact that he delayed his own death so long, and Bang's just able to heal up, and Wolf is still relatively healthy, doesn't need a recall, it opens up such a window for SKT to recapture vision now and basically assert pressure to all 3 lanes at once. So Peanut probably should have just died sooner, because realistically I don't see how he could ever think in his right mind at this level of play that he can live there.
I mean, at some point you just gotta try. You just gotta, you know, keep screaming until they hear you out. I think that's a Tinny Tempo quote. But back to the Baron Pit. SKT doing such a good job at clearing out wards in that area. I think the only one is the one that's visible for ROX Tigers. Is right over the wall there. Everything else making that pretty blind. Although, as I say that, the blue ward gets placed in the back of the pit. And Kuro there to see that SKT's backed off.
Yeah, and oh, we're about to jump into a replay. Okay. And this is what I mean, is Tigers gets basically their dream scenario where they get an engagement to occur at the exact moments that they want, but what happens is inside of the team fight, Bang is doing too much damage because of Tigers' itemization at this point in time.
No heal for Prey either.
Yeah, so basically Bang is just able to do so much damage, and they're not itemized to really handle him right now. And when Rek'Sai had to be the, you know, the one that took the Ash Arrow and basically took all the damage early on.
Another fight starting here. Nice Ash Arrow on to Wolf. Peanut waiting over the wall there, but it looks like the Tigers may be forced in a rout. Gorilla very low. Duke right on top of him, and that's going to be a kill on to Prey. The Gorilla, or the Tigers bottom lane is out of there. Kuro and Peanut underneath that turret, trying to save themselves. Smeb TP's into a little bit of a rough spot. Will he wind up going down so much healing? And he stays alive somehow. Smeb able to survive, and here comes Kuro with Bang with a final ricochet.
Oh my god.
Just a tip of damage there. I don't know.
Well,
all right.
And they are rewarded with a mountain drake.
Holy cow, some great drakes spawning here for SKT. 2 mountains now, and that Inferno from earlier. The strong get stronger, and SKT in a dominant position.
Echo, please don't go bot lane. Duke needs to not go bot lane right here, and, well, hold on. Hold that thought. Replay coming up. And it looks like they wanted to take out Bengi, but this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, is I don't know what is going to happen in the future team fights, because now the itemization is starting to favor SKT too much, and if you're Tigers, you need to be taking the fights from very specific angles, and that's not one of them. So you're always going to get lit up inside of these team fights because your itemization is poor, your team composition just doesn't deal damage against SKTs, and you don't have any answer for Bang inside of the team fights.
Whereas SKT have a lot of answers to Prey, who's just gotten destroyed every single fight. Both of the times, Duke's just on top of him, was like, hey man, heard you like to 80 carry. Well, you're not going to have too much fun here, and Duke has definitely been doing a great job. 4-0 and 5, best scoreline in the game, belongs to SKT's top laner.
Yeah. Now Duke is going to end up getting actually a free bottom lane turret, and this is primarily because the Mountain Drink actually, it doesn't just help you with the towers again, it helps you kill monsters quicker. So the reason that that dragon is so crucial right now is because this directly synergizes with Baron timing.
Bengi walking forward, trying to get this blue buff steal. Prey wants it for himself, and it does look like blue buff is taken away by Faker.
Yep.
So perfect placement there on that one.
I don't know if they know that there is a Duke in bot lane actually just killing towers.
Well, it's the hidden top laner buff where nobody comes to your lane. Oh, Gorilla very low, and Bang takes him out before this Baron fight even starts. Bang with a first kill, might be looking for another one. So much damage there onto Smeb. He's ignite, and so he will burn down. And look at Duke in the back lane, back line. Prey very low, actually gonna die there. Looked like to the Wolf camp, but Peanut can't flash and dash away far enough. Or can he? Back underneath his turret, will SKT chase? Looks like they will content themselves without an ace.
Yeah, and to most spectators, that fight probably looks good for SKT, but honestly, I'm extremely disappointed with Duke's decision to teleport into the fight. I think it's completely nonsensical. Smeb was already committed to the team fight. They already had the snipe onto Gorilla. They could have just postured for Baron while simultaneously threatening the backdoor and even a Nexus turret, honestly, at that point, because of how the fight was going. So, a really poor decision by SKT to teleport.
Let's take a replay of this fight. Perfect wall there, but arrow on the Bang. Sorry, man. I need a spell shield.
And this is what I was talking about, is this fight was already over. The teleport in from Duke is completely irrelevant because all that it means is that, you know, Tigers would have just continued to try to back off. Who cares if they live? They're not going to get to him in bot lane. You acing them doesn't change the fact that you could have already secured Baron, didn't do anything in mid lane, you didn't manipulate bottom lane any further, nothing happened in top. It's just a macro mistake.
Bengi going forward, man, he has been all over the counter jungle, but this time, Peanut, he's got, you know, PTSD from the last time Bengi stole his red buff away, so he will smite it away for himself. Not the worst champion to have it on, but man, ROX Tigers just continuing to lapse further and further behind. Faker about to crest 300. Bang's already over that mark, and Duke probably even has still more gold, even though he's not so high in CS, because he's 505 right now. Somewhere that's a zip code that he's representing. But SKT pushing down the second tier turret, 15-5. And now I believe that is the final outer turret. No, one left in the top lane. SKT on top of these objectives.
And now they're just they're executing a 1-4-0, it looks like it's going to be. And I would like them to actually just execute a 1-3-1 using Bengi's tunnels, you know, just have them place them accordingly, and then basically acts as a teleport, and I think that you could easily apply a lot of pressure like that while the Baron buff is still up. So,
pressure in the mid lane, Kuro down bottom to clear, and just tanking up this turret. Bengi just doesn't even care. Very selfless jungler overall. Reminds me a lot of Helios when he played on CJ. It was not necessarily his. He was not the carry of the team, but either way, ROX Tigers trying for the defense. Peanut actually just ults to try to clear this wave, but SKT, man, they can chill. They've got more wave clear than they know what to do with.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just stalling until the next dragon comes up. Now, I don't know what dragon it is. SKT would be loving for another Inferno dragon. They don't really need another Mountain Drake. Basically, Inferno would be the best thing, or a Mountain Drake. Riot could punish them with an RNG of an Air Dragon, though, so that would be definitely unfortunate.
Arrow coming out, and whiff. 3 points. If you want to count that as a field goal, but no more points. Kuro gonna get completely zoned out there. We'll go ahead and pop that ghost. He's trying to get away. There's the ignite. It's taken down. Kuro very low. The last stick of ignite. Oh no, he's got the Zonias. But Benki's right there, and yeah, sorry, man. Gonna be a death for the Tigers mid laner, and little by little, this middle inhibitor's gonna go down 16-5. The score is SKTelecom T1 push into the base.
Yeah, and looks like they want. They're saying that the time is now, so they're going for the end game push, and I don't like this for a lot of reasons.
Man, Prey very low. He has that reduced healing on, but he's going to stay alive for now. Smeb doing a great job in the front line, but too much damage from Bang and Faker. As now Tigers losing every last member. A bubble lands onto Prey. It's a full ace and a triple kill for Bang.
Yeah, and it looks like that will be the game. And probably Rek'Sai just going to teleport back in, using his ultimate.
Very anticlimactic victory.
Yeah.
Bang's got to win this game faster.
Teleport. Now, the only reason I didn't like that, I felt like Tigers did just misplay that right there. Yes, SKT probably can get the win a high percentage of the time, but there's a much safer route that would always guarantee a win.
And there it is, a win in 34.5 minutes. A 20-5 victory for SKTelecom T1.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, I basically said this from Champion Select is I don't understand what Tigers were planning or hoping to do in the mid and later stages of the game. That is too much periodic magic damage coming out, and Ashe and Graves just do not offer enough in that composition unless you're getting really far ahead. But why would you put so much pressure on your jungler and his ability to do that against a team like SKT?
Exactly, and especially when you consider the weaknesses that they've kind of known for their team. That Kuro versus Faker matchup a little bit weak, and they put a Vladimir in there that needs time to scale up. And I think the biggest surprise for me was a difference in the top laners. Just completely night and day. 0-6 score for Smeb, and the best score in the game for SKT up in the top lane, 5-0 and 9. Best KDA, I should put it that way. I think it was 8-2 and 9. So he's putting in work there and had by far the most damage on his team.
Yeah, and that was a lot of CDR on Nivea, by the way. The Morellonomicon and the Ionian boots, and I'm not sure if he was running runes, but traditionally you don't normally see that much CDR on a Nivea, so that was definitely interesting. But the Morellonomicon doing work there in the later stage team fights, so that was the problem. So Tigers have been subject to weird pick and bans. Not that the team compositions are necessarily bad, but they just don't fit against what they're colliding with. And so I wonder what's going to happen in Game 2, and hopefully they'll be able to come up with a better team composition to match SKT's in the next game. But that was the first unconventional team comp that SKT has fielded.
That is true, and by unconventional you mean something that doesn't include Ezreal and Azir,
yeah,
which all of their previous team comps have fielded. We're going to head out to a quick break. When we come back, Game 2, Tigers versus SKT.
여기 진짜 예쁘다. 벚꽃 축제. 바로 가는 거야 이제. 가자. 갤럭시 S7 엣지 S7.
잘 봐, 네 안에 뜨겁게 불타는 열정. 볼케이노 핫하지, 뮤직이는 핫하지. 국내 볼케이노. 탱크하게 국내 볼케이노.
정복이 제일 쉬웠어요.
넌 나에게 모욕감을 주었어. 어딨니? 불가능이 어딨니? 여기 있네. 이제 당신이 영웅이 될 차례. 도네이션즈.
뚝 떨어지는 체인지업을 그대로 받아쳐가지고 감전 밖으로 확 넘겨버렸잖아.
언제요?
어제 레전드 야구선에서.
전설은 계속된다. 스크린 야구의 레전드 야구전.
그 회사 공채는 토익 900m로 낮춰준대. 망했어 진짜.
사람인에 따르면 인사팀장님 어디 계세요?
아닙니다. 저 친구도 700대인걸요.
사람인에 따르면
900점 안 되는 사람.
아니랍니다.
공채 기준 도맨원.
자꾸 먹고 싶어.
맛있어 죽게 만든 셈이야. 하바네로와 청양고추가 더해진 매운맛의 몬스터 BHC 맵스터.
매운맛 좀 보시지 말입니다.
난 요새 수염 있는 남자가 멋있더라.
안녕.
기타 잘 치는 남자 멋있더라.
어깨 넓은 남자가 멋있더라.
근데 난 얼굴 작은 남자가 제일 좋더라.
난 오늘 나에게 바카스를 사줬습니다.
남자는 자신감을 지금.
나를 아끼자. 바카스.
야, 이렇게 하는데 보고 있어? 응? 안녕하세요. 롤 잘하고 싶은 여자, LCK 완전 정복을 꿈꾸는 여자, 빠바바 지인입니다. 그리고 제 뒤에서 자고 있는 사람은 언니! 저희 롤 잘하는 언니인데요. 뭐 신경 안 쓰셔도 됩니다. LCK 한 주간의 경기에서 가장 눈에 띈 챔피언을 제가 고르고 골라서 LCK 경기를 보면서 알아볼 건데요. 이름하여 두구두구두구두구두구두구두구 위클리 L이 아니고 주간 챔피언. 지난주 LCK에서 원딜 뱅킹률 2위를 차지한 케이틀린. 알지 나 잘하는 거 알지 KT의 에로 ESC의 로컨, 락스의 플레이 선수 등등 많은 선수분들에게 사랑을 받고 있는데요. 도대체 왜 이번 시즌 케이틀린이 갑자기 뜨게 되었을까요? 모르겠죠? 케이틀린은 중반이 약하다는 평가를 원래 받았었는데요. 이제는 아닙니다. NO! 프리시즌 패치를 통해서 덫의 개수가 늘어나 배치 상황에서 좋아졌고 스킬에 헤드샷 판정이 붙어서 그 후반에 가장 좋은 원딜 중 하나로 불리고 있대요. 에로우 선수의 플레이를 보면서 조금 더 자세히 알아볼게요. 와, 저런 식으로도 할 수 있는 거구나. 대박. 타워의 사각지대에 덫을 깔아놓는 게 포인트. 이렇게 하는 거네. 역시 케이틀린 날 실망시키지 않아. 언니, 이거 케이틀린 상대하기 힘든 고점 있잖아. 그거 뭐야? 나 그거 알려줘. 여보세요?
네, 여보세요?
누구세요?
네, 그 캡틴제 강형우입니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 저 지인이에요. 저 아시죠?
네, 그럼요.
네, 반갑습니다.
사실 뭐 힘든 라인들은 크게 없어요. 초반부터는요. 대신에 갱킹을 조심해야 된다고 해야 될까요? 상대가 갱홍이 좋은 조합이면 그걸 좀 최대한 조심해서 라인들을 풀어가시는 게 좋아요.
그 아이템 있잖아요. 아이템.
네.
그거 어떻게 쓰는 게 좋아요?
전 처음에는 무한의 대검 먼저 올리시고
이거 자체. 좀 적을게요. 잠깐만요.
네, 루나의 허리케인, 그 다음에 고속연사포, 최후의 속삭이 뭐 이런 식으로 좀 올리시면 돼요.
제가 뭐 평소 하던 그대로네요.
네네, 그렇죠.
네네. 캡찍 화이팅!
주간 챔피언도 화이팅! 지은씨도 예뻐요. 지은씨도 예뻐요. 지은씨도 예뻐요.
지인씨도 예뻐요. 화이팅 이런 거. 그럼 팁도 전수 받았으니까 이번 주는 케이틀린과 함께 열심히 플레이해보겠습니다. 기대해주세요. 그럼 전 이만 게임하러 가보도록 하겠습니다. 다음 주에 만나요. 주간 챔피언 많이 사랑해주세요. 안녕! 티모도 안녕!
With all of my brothers, I always wondered how far we could go. If we could break through the sea room above us, there'd be no point of us looking below. We could be free. We could be free. Finally, we could be free. I've been through the darkest of caves and suffered. One on the steps of the end of the road. Painted with passion, my favorite color. Open the life when the story gets old. We could be free. We could be free. Finally, we could be free. I ain't at home, home's where I'm going. I close my eyes to see. I'll take my throne, lay it on a mountain, and make myself a king. Kick through the shackles, walk through the chains. There's no regrets, no one to blame but you. I said, make myself a king.
Watching the crystals turn to ice. Mercury
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Coca-Cola Zero League of Legends Champions Korea Summer 2016. We are coming back after a dominant Game 1 performance from SKTelecom over the Tigers. And you can just see by that damage Delta Champions graph that SKT still looking pretty good.
Still looking, pretty good there. And Bang just absolutely went off, mostly because of the itemization coming out of Tigers. And that Vladimir is extremely lackluster. You can almost confuse that for a support's damage. in most games.
I mean, he's
so.
not too much farther ahead of that either. Got out-damaged by Peanut there in the jungle. And to be honest, Peanut trying to carry his entire team. Great scoreline, but the rest of the Tigers just didn't show up. And that will bring us to some highlights from this game. And this is going to signal that first early dive onto Smeb and kind of...
This was a sloppy play right here, though, that we were watching. We already talked about how they could have secured Dragon here. And Bengi clearly was, on a communication difference.
Running into the pit there.
Yeah, this was just bizarre as well. This wasn't necessary. There was a lot of mistakes that SKT made in terms of communication errors, and we also saw that teleport that could have potentially just ended the game sooner. This is just bizarre. Bane caught shopping, so needs to put down the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, just kind of chilling there. This was one of the first big team fights we actually got a chance to watch here, and the peel for Prey just non-existent.
Yeah, and I mean, Bengi just got to live way too long, and that just doesn't make any sense, and they devoted too much attention to Faker.
That's going to bring us to our SKTelecom IB MVP. He's back. Yeah. Bengi in the jungle. Bengi, a lot like my fingers. You can always count on him.
Okay.
90% kill participation.
He is clutch. I will say that.
That's just like my purse.
Yeah.
I don't have a purse. That's just,
you don't have a purse?
One day.
You should get like a fanny pack. You can bring that back.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take LS's advice when it comes to coaching, but not when it comes to fashion sense, guys. Definitely well-deserved MVP there. You can see Bengi getting that nice massage. That's the MVP massage. Like you win the game, and there you go. Very well-deserved. Nice to see him back on the lineup.
Yeah.
So what impressed you most about SKT in Game 1, LS?
Well, I mean, they just completely eviscerated their competition at almost all stages of the game, except for just a few macro errors. But those macro errors, no one's going to play a perfect game. That's one thing that is important. So even though we can point out the macro errors and what could have been better, it doesn't...
Oh, and here it comes.
Oh, yeah.
A sub. We talked about this being very likely, subbing out Kuro for Cry. This is what the Tigers did in Week 1 when they lost their initial matchup. They're like, hey man, we need a better Azir player. And now this might actually change the way that the bans work, because Cry actually mentioned in his post-game interview in the Tigers' first win last week that he was really brought in because he was a little bit better on Azir than Kuro was. And Azir's a big, powerful pick-and-ban kind of champion. You have to be able to have that on your roster.
Right, and so I wonder what difference Cry is really going to offer, because all of Cry's champions are control mages. So expect that, some sort of control mage is going to come out. So far, he's only picked Azir, Victor, and Varus this season. And so we're going to see what he's going to be able to do against Faker, because playing control mages against Faker really opens up Faker's champion pool to abuse you and have his way with you. So we're going to see what happens here. But Tigers had a very problematic draft phase, and this has been a problem that they've had in other games, except in some games it didn't end up getting punished, but it doesn't go, without noticing that they're still having these bizarre team compositions that don't really make sense relative to what their opponents are drafting at all stages.
And to be fair, the Tigers have always been known for not necessarily playing well with the meta, or playing along with the meta. They have, I think, out of all of the teams, one of the highest amount of different champions played. Most of that's up in the top lane, because I don't even know how many. Let's see, they've played, I think, 4 different champions. Six, actually, after that last game, right?
Yeah. Maokai, Echo, Rumble, Trundle, Fizz, and Swain coming out of top lane. They just have absolutely gigantic champion pools. Support, Braum, Alistar, Bard, Tahm Kench, Trundle. Definitely a lot there. SKT, though, extremely cookie cutter. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually have the least versatile champion pool, at least showcased so far in LCK Summer.
Well, we haven't seen too much of LCK Summer, so let's hop into picks and bans for game number 2. Very unsurprisingly, we're on the same exact patch, and let's talk about what we could expect to see here for bans. The Nidalee, no big surprise there. SKT ban that out every game.
Yeah, I'm really curious why they ban this out every single game. I wonder if with the changes to Kindred and stuff, that Nidalee is basically the only high super mobility champion that can cause problems. and I wonder if their junglers are just really uncomfortable playing against her.
SKT, not big fans of that Peanut kid, banning out 2 jungle champions in a row. They did ban out the same bans as last time, different order slightly, but nice to see the Tigers still respecting that Azir ban, even though they did switch in for Cry.
And this is something that SKT had actually done before, where they banned out Kindred in the second set. You know, relative to just how the previous game went. So anyways, 3 jungle bans against Peanut. And Peanut instantly taking away Bengi's Rek'Sai, so
I don't understand
no Elise is up. So what is Bengi going to...
I think he's just going to go for Graves. Kind of surprising to see triple jungle bans, and then your first pick isn't a jungle, because theoretically you're trying to pressure that pick, and you give him a very solid champion, and Rek'Sai perfectly fits his playstyle.
Right.
And Bengi's just going to lock in the Graves, so swapping those jungle picks around.
Yep. So now Bengi will be the one on Graves. So this will be a little bit interesting. Having actually played with Bengi in solo queue a few times, I can say that his early game aggression, and then also just watching his solo queue matches over the last few months, because again, he hasn't played too many games yet in LCK Summer, and he was absent for an extremely long time from competitive play. I don't know how his aggression is going to come out on Graves here.
I don't know if you're getting a little bit of deja vu here, but I don't know if you're getting a little bit of deja vu here, but it's time for the same picks again for the Tigers. I mean, I'm just waiting for that Ashe to get locked in, man. And of course, across the board here, SKTelecom, they're like, wait a second, we can pick the same champions too. Of course, with one notable exception being the junglers. And if Gorilla locks in Ashe for Prey, I don't know who didn't watch that last game, but it's
well,
gonna
the
get
junglers are different.
Okay. All right.
And that Lucian, that Black Cleaver armor shred, that's really going to help out, you know, Swain and Vladimir. Just letting you know that.
Okay.
So Tigers again with a completely bizarre and wonky draft.
Dude, healing is pretty cool, man. You got to get as much of that as possible.
I just don't know what I'm looking at, honestly.
Healing when you're burrowed, healing when you're ulted, healing, well, I guess Vladimir heals when he's ulted too.
And now Duke says maybe he wants to play Anivia. No. Faker said, give me back Articuno.
Gonna capture him back there. Faker's got the Master Ball, so he gets whatever he wants.
And I mean, it's going to be the same story, different dance, except now actually the Tigers are going to be in a worse position given that they are red side now. That's going to be a lot harder for Swain and Vladimir to really try to enter into Dragon or Baron against Anivia. So your team composition was wonky in the first game, except it did have the blue side advantage, favoring some of the picks. And now, when you're red side, you're going to get hurt even more by the map terrain, so even more working against you, and Rek'Sai is not going to change that.
Oh, it's going to be hard mode here for the Tigers as they face off against SKTelecom T1, down 1 game up against one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team. Big smiles on Peanut's face. Maybe he knows something we don't, LS. Let's go ahead and get into our second, possibly last game of the night as the ROX, formerly ROX Tigers, take on SKTelecom T1. Hope you guys are ready. Let's go ahead and get in the game. Actually a lot more even that time, but welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 of SKTelecom T1, facing off against just the Tigers here on Summoner's Rift at the Nexon Arena in Gangnam, Seoul, South Korea. Packed out house, the balcony totally full. There's people like leaning over. I saw that earlier. Nice to see them staying safe. This is League of Legends, and while the champions may die, we want to keep everybody where they are supposed to be. And oh! Bengi just a second late there on killing that ward. What's going on for these level 1s? What setup would benefit each team most, LS?
I mean, a complete fan is going to benefit SKT. They might look for a little bit of a lane swap here. I don't know what the first dragon is. We didn't get a peek at that yet, but that's definitely going to play a part in any sort of lane swaps that it looks like SKT will be the one initiating. However, it looks like Tigers is going to match, so both on the same page there. I do need to know what dragon is spawning to say which team comp it's going to be more favorable for, though. And
I don't know exactly what's going to happen just yet, but we are going to see the starting lane assignments here, as it will be a little bit of an inverted lane. Inversion, the reason for many things that happen. But duos up top, solos down bottom, and it's going to be a standard mid lane. Like I said, a little bit of deja vu here, but this time it's Cry playing the Vladimir. So we'll see what style he brings to the mid lane in Kuro's place.
Yeah. And now, interestingly enough, one thing that is important to mention, though, is Rek'Sai is stronger on red side than blue side. So we were talking about how Tigers is really getting hurt by Swain and Vladimir the longer this game goes on, mostly because of the map terrain. However, one champion that will benefit more from being on red side is definitely Rek'Sai, and that's because of how he can control the map via his tunnels and because of his angles of approach when entering in on ganks and counter ganking.
Did you know that saying the Tigers is grammatically correct because you refer to groups as singular entities? It just happens to be a plural name.
You're going to make me cry.
And 10th grade grammar teacher is going to be super proud of me right now.
Do you know how Cry got his ID?
How did he get his ID?
Apparently, during a Africa streaming contest thing, there was some LOL competition, and when the camera went on him after like losing a match or something, people thought he was all crying.
Oh.
So that's how he got his ID.
So he named himself because people thought he was crying.
I think Cry is I think that's a really powerful ID.
It's what he's gonna do to his enemies.
He's gonna cry?
Yeah, no,
Make them cry.
All right. There you go.
Okay, well, Articuno's not having any of that.
No, Faker in general doing very well in the lane, but Vladimir can always just heal that back up. Bengi, once again, being a little bit harassed in his jungle, but I think he will actually get to take this blue buff.
Not kiting, though. Not kiting the blue buff, and maybe that's just because he's wanting to keep it inside of the brush.
Inside
but
the bush,
that's not really gonna do too much. And he's recalling anyway, so it's not like he needed to conserve any HP there.
All right, so Peanut, the one that's being a little bit more proactive out there on the map. He's got his double buffs. He's taking down the Scuttle Crab. It's an Inferno Drake for the first dragon of the game. That will actually be, like you said, very highly contested by both scaling teams.
Yeah, and Inferno Drake is going to be really powerful. The thing in top lane, though, with Bang and Wolf being up there in the Sivir, Nami versus Lucian Braum matchup is, it's going to be relatively stale, but Prey and Gorilla going to have much more explosion.
That time, Peanut kind of getting a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, now Peanut is the one that is laying down the counter jungle. He's going to go tell his wife, Bertha, over here, Gromp. Hello.
I don't know, man.
No?
I'm not seeing it. You watch that season of like The Bachelorette and you're just like, man, that's the dude. But that's not the feeling I have with Gromp and Rek'Sai. I would never put them together. All right, well, Duke coming back here, or Smeb rather coming back here. I don't think Duke is too worried about that. Looks like he is still totally on top of that matchup. And yeah, Duke, he got a pretty cool dive. It's a 2-man, 3-man, I think it was 3-man dive in onto Smeb earlier. And that really started that lane snowballing out of control in game one. So maybe ROX or the Tigers will try to protect him a little bit more this time.
Yeah. And the laning phase for everyone is just going a lot better this time around. No difference, though, in mid lane. Seems like Cry, though, on Vladimir, performing a little bit better than Kuro. Remember, there was that CS differential early on, but then Faker was able to bring it back.
Prey really getting punished there, taking a couple of double boomerang hits, so gotta keep it careful. Bottom lane, though, here comes Peanut, and Duke going in onto Smeb. Will not be able to land that never move, and with as mobile as Echo is, all he has to do is just walk away. He's good for now.
Yeah, and that's actually really, really, really problematic. It gives so much intel over to Bengi, and now Bengi's actually able to get 2 camps ahead onto Peanut. So that failed gank actually hurts a lot more below the surface than it appears.
Well, that's because Rek'Sai is below the surface.
See?
There you go, see?
Good.
Mid lane, though, like you said, the CF differential actually in Cry's favor. At no point during game number 1 was Kuro ahead of Faker in CS. So definitely a better state for things to be in there. Now top lane, Peanut is here. Want to draw out the spell shield. Gorilla only level 4 there. Is actually Will going to get the concussive blows on the Wolf. Nice boomerang backwards, but here comes Bengi. Bengi's going to jump right in on to Prey in the backline. With his heal on to Wolf, it's actually going to be Prey, the first one to go down to Wolf. Will they look for more there? Gorilla very low, but Peanut there, oh, not enough damage on that collateral damage to give Bengi the second kill.
Yeah, and that was absolutely fascinating by Bang and Wolf holding their defensive summoners until the last second to entice the Tigers to come in more and more.
Oh, he's right in the bush. Not gonna check that one.
Yeah.
The Bengi combo working out well in the
no
top.
star sense coming out of Bengi.
No Ihan timing.
Ihan timing. Star sense, though, a term that Koreans used to use to describe
that mythical awareness that something just is. Oh my gosh! Don't do it to him, Bengi. Let him live.
And, well, definitely some Smite Wars coming out by SKT.
I really actually like that because, you know, Bengi's been on the bench for a while. He's just coming back. He had a great showing last week, and now he's coming back up against sort of like the new hotness of last season. Peanut was that, you know, really young player coming onto the Tigers, just revolutionized, revitalized, and was just on fire last season. This season, maybe not so much.
Yep. And one interesting thing here right now is Duke's teleport was about to come back up, but they chose not to reinitiate a lane swap, even though Smeb wouldn't have teleport and it would open up dragon timing. So a little disappointed in SKT right now because I don't think that they're getting any benefit by having these lanes continue to occur beyond the first major recalls.
Smeb being harassed down. Once again, Duke just so good at that matchup. I'm guessing he's probably gotten a chance to practice that quite a bit with as popular as those two champions have been. One thing that's kind of surprising me, though, is the lack of top lane Fizz. We talked about that a whole lot, but no surprise here on Swain versus Echo, and here comes Bengi. Smeb very low, healing back up, though. Can they actually take him down? Bengi with a buster shot to take him away. Faker with a mid lane solo kill. On to Cry.
Cry is probably crying, if we could see it.
SKT just firing out of nowhere. I want to see the replay on that. What happened there in the mid lane?
SKT is just absolutely taking the game away, and it was really unlucky by Peanut there to have just recalled. Here we go. We got a quick replay coming up.
Okay, the initial burst damage happens, but then I'm guessing he just stays a little bit too far underneath his turret. Oh, the long range stun, the flash in, and that's going to be that solo kill for Faker. Cry, pretty amazingly passive. I think he had his pool up there too, but let's rejoin our friends up in the top lane. Bang and Wolf back up underneath their turret under the pressure of the culling to just allow the Tigers a recall.
And same itemization choice coming out from Cry. Now, I know that a lot of people are probably like, well, of course, LS, you need to get Boots of Swiftness to dodge Anivia skills. No, it doesn't matter when you're playing against Anivia of this skill level. So the fact that you're just willing to take it and accept that you're just going to continue getting pummeled, I think is a little bit bizarre.
I mean, he still has that CS lead. He's not doing badly in the lane with that notable exception, but maybe, you know, it's
definitely better than Kuro.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So, gonna go ahead and mention that. Okay, a blue buff steal away. This is, like I said, a lot of deja vu from last game. The exact same timing there on the blue buff given away to Faker, although this time he won't steal away the opposing blue buff like he did around this time in game number 1. Peanut's doing his blue buff, and overall right now it does look very good for SKT, but there's only really about 1,000 gold difference here at the 10-minute mark.
And now here they come with that lane swap, and it looks like Nami's going to try to get in some deep wards, so this can really set up Duke for his teleports in on Echo. And Echo is definitely a champion that benefits a lot more from the flank than Smeb, and that's primarily because
positioned up here, will tunnel away. I'm not sure if Duke is really in too much danger. Good at his flash, but not a whole lot else.
I don't even think he needed to.
Oh! With a 91 gold grab steal, and of course Faker and Bengi already on that Inferno Drake. Turns out ice actually beats fire, or I guess guns do, but Bengi gonna grab that first dragon of the game for SKTelecom.
Yeah, and I mean, Tigers is going to trade a tower for it, but that doesn't matter. It's going to get matched in bot lane, and this is going to benefit SKT considerably, especially going to be the Inferno Drake. I did not get to take a peek at what dragon was coming up next, though, so we can see what's going to happen, though, in about 5 to 6 minutes team fight. and
we'll
Vision
probably
War.
get a chance to check out that pit in just a little bit. Duke.
And now
rotating
Sivir
down.
with Boots of Swiftness Rush means that SKT is going for an explosive game.
Oh boy.
Generally, if SKT was willing and content to just play very passive and slow and methodically around the map, you know, you could just sit on that tier 1 boots and, you know, just move around accordingly, especially because Tigers is so slow with the exception of Rek'Sai. But because Bengi has basically kept Peanut under wraps this entire game, Rek'Sai hasn't had a chance to do anything, and Peanut's been counter-jungled, you know, multiple times, so lacking in gold too. So I'm curious to see what Bang really wants to do and what SKT's goals are in the next few moments.
And they are positioning around Baron here.
Yeah, well, Herald at this point in time.
True. Bengi gonna get tunneled up on. Cry ghosting forward, but top lane there's actually a lot of pressure here on to Bang. Oh, the sick jukes. Gorilla doesn't actually even wind up throwing out his Q. Duke going in for maybe a dive there. Double Emo Plague from Cry, but Bengi is not afraid of going in. Actually runs right into Prey, who will land a lot of the culling. Crazy heals onto Cry, healing right back up again. A lot of pressure up here on the top half of the map. Never move, will miss.
Yeah, and I'm a little curious why SKT... So this is the problem that I was talking about with SKT, where I just mentioned about the Boots of Swiftness and, you know, having a very explosive game. When they have the option to basically have a slow and methodical game, is right now at this point in time, even though they're ahead and even though they are continuing to accelerate, Tigers still aren't actually that far behind relative to the base scaling of the champion. So SKT still needs more
Bang
time.
walking forward. There's going to be a spell shield, but Peanut with a knockup on to Bang. Bang is out of here. Gray with a flash forward for the kill. Okay, there is Faker stealing away the red buff, so all is as it should be, exactly the same as it happened in game number 1. But a nice kill there on a Bang will set him maybe a little bit further back and prevent that Essence Reaver from coming in.
And looks like Faker now is the time where he's going to continue to bully. He doesn't have that Roa yet, though.
Cry must have so much gold at this point.
Cry is doing so much better than Kuro.
He really is. He's got a CS advantage, gold advantage. He's on the roam. He's making these rotations. Great global play there. Smed, he's sort of the potato. He gets to try to sit in a lane and not die like he did 6 times in a row last game. So definitely going to need to see a stronger performance out of him.
I mean, everyone's doing better. You can't really complain, you know, for the Tigers. And the goal deficit, even though it's still in SKT's favor, the game doesn't feel as lost relative to the map movements and just how, you know, the Tigers are crawling their way back into this game.
Well, and it's 15 minutes in, which at this point does mean that you can start to see things like, you know, Dragons, if it hadn't been taken early, would be a very big objective right now. Rift Herald is still up, and it will despawn in about 6 minutes, so we have to see what the next big move is for both teams. You were asking earlier, LS, what's SKT up to? Well, it turns out both teams just wanted to fight top lane. Well, now that we've finished up all of those shenanigans, it'll be interesting to see what is the next priority for both teams. It does look like Tigers are pinging back up onto that top lane once again.
I mean, the thing that's interesting to me is Sivir went for the Boots of Swiftness, but then nothing really came from it, and I think that it was a poor choice. In fact, I know it was a poor choice relative to the options that they did have available.
Right.
The problem now is SKT, well, they have the red buff on Sivir, so they're going to actually burn that tower.
Bang gets a free second-tier turret kill, really uncontested off, no rotations down
All
there.
they need to do now, well, Dragon's coming up, so it's a little bit late. So they ended up securing the tier 2 tower because Tigers were a little bit slow to rotate. I think that a better decision actually would have been to have the bot lane in top and then secure and pressure that and obtain Herald before the Dragon fight. But securing the bottom tier 2 turret is, you know, it's not so bad.
Not bad at all. The Tigers.
Is that a proto belt?
Oh man, it is in fact a first item proto belt. There in the mid lane, we've actually seen this once before. I believe it was EU LCS. We did see the proto belt first. I'm trying to remember who that was. If you guys can like tweet at me, let me know who built the proto belt on Vladimir. I haven't actually seen that same build before, just because he does scale so much better off of health than he used to. So not the first time, but definitely a new item. Nice to see that one. In case you guys are unfamiliar with what the Hex Tech what the Hex Tech is a Hex Tech Proto Belt. It gives you a small dash, can dash over the smallest of walls, and shoots a few projectiles when you dash on in there. So a little bit of damage, a lot of utility. See how well Cry can use that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
wait a second. Oh man, I almost had it. It was. Is it? I'm trying to remember. Man, I almost had it.
I don't know. I don't watch any EU, so unfortunate there. I don't know what game it was. But
oh, see, there it is. The Hextech Proto Belt already being used. Too bad it has like a 2-minute cooldown. I think it's like 90 seconds. But either way, not gonna be. It's gonna be.
I
a
mean,
bit.
the build just doesn't make sense to me.
Hey man, it builds health, cooldown reduction.
Wow.
Get more mobility. Great things Vladimir loves. Also loves. I guess he'll not only be healing himself, but also enemy champions with a lack of damage there. But Bengi does get tagged there by that Winter's Bite.
He really wants that pink ward.
So close, but not going to go in for it. Cry still getting pressured pretty hard there in the mid lane. Has finally lost that CS advantage, but now SKTelecom onto a Cloud Drake. Won't be the most impactful dragon for them, but it will still be another objective. They will be taking relatively uncontested. Dragon is very low, not stolen away. There's a good culling onto Bang, but we'll pop that on the hunt and get out of the hunt.
Yeah, so 2 dragons for SKT, Wind Dragon and Inferno, so not the best dragon at all.
Oh my gosh, the sickest wall there from Faker. Made Gorilla pay for that one as he disengaged there from the mid lane. Faker still in a great spot, totally in control of his lane, despite there being 3 champions there.
Yeah, and basically now this game is going to take the same turn that we saw in Game 1, where temporarily, because of the base scaling, SKT has not amassed enough of an advantage that would somehow enable them to basically push through that and, you know, disregard it. So Tigers is going to have a chance for a short while for 1 or 2 team fights, and after that, SKT is just going to take over if nothing can be gained by Tigers through those team fights. And it looks like a Herald is going to go over to SKT, so that is going to be another Herald that will probably go to Echo.
All those wards being placed over the wall, and finally 1 sticks. You know they could have killed that.
I'm pretty sure they could have. I'm not sure.
Okay, there we go.
Understanding.
Wolf's going back for the and 1. Herald will survive, and more importantly, will need to be killed in just about a couple of minutes. Otherwise, it will despawn. Here comes Peanut into the mid lane. A lot of pressure being pushed into that mid turret. Unscouted out, SKT are taking the Herald, although I don't think it'll be a too big of a surprise. Beatrice getting thrown over the wall there by Smeb. Yep. Like, here, bird, you go scout for me. Herald very low here, and ROX want to pick a fight. Looks like Cry will try to go in there. A nice double stun there by Faker. Faker off in a great spot there towards the end. Bengi very low. He's going to pop from Hemoflake. Peanut there to pick up the kill. Smeb very strong there, healing back up. Bang dishing out free damage, but here comes Prey. He's going to pick up 1. There's going to be his first spray there. Faker will get egged, and in the middle of the entire Tigers team, Faker will go down to Cry.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, where SKT, they just don't have the items yet. They haven't done their scaling part, where Tigers also has base scaling, not just item scaling. So it's going to be really difficult for them.
Duke does make it back. I thought those birds would have
I thought they would have aggroed.
No, you can actually only aggro. I believe you can only hit things you can see there. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone out
So you're
there.
telling me that Teemo is secretly the counter to Swain?
Because you can't hit him if you can't see him.
Yeah.
I think not being in lane versus Swain is the same counter. Let's watch this fight again.
This fight is a little bit weird because I feel like the Tigers are just able to get into positions that they shouldn't be relative to Faker already sort of being in position. But again, their base scaling is just too heavy, so they can't do enough against these champions at this point in time. So the willingness for SKT to take the fight, even in the face of them almost losing a similar fight in Game 1, is a little bit peculiar. And Tigers is just going to be able to take that down, but they don't do any major macro rotations following it up, so a little bit of lost opportunity there.
Yeah, great positioning there by Prey, kind of coming in for the cleanup. Caught Faker off guard and gave him his first death of the series. Oh, Bengi does get that blue buff steal away, man. Bengi hating on Peanut all over these counter jungles, pressure. He's killed him once before too. It's like, I'm glad to see Bengi not just sort of that, you know, environmental jungler, the herbivore. he's getting in there for some kills there, and nice to see Peanut still consistently strong, but he needs some help from the rest of his team. Big culling in there from Prey is going to put out a little bit of damage there on a Bengi. Still hanging on to that mid turret.
And it looks like SKT is finally going to pick up the top tower. I do not believe that Smeb is going to get there in time. Probably not. So that tower is going to get raised by SKT. And all that SKT needs to do, I didn't catch a glimpse of what that dragon is. Hopefully I can right now.
Oh, nope, just kidding.
Yeah,
Top
just
lane,
kidding.
we're watching the most feudal fight, so I was like, hey, I can actually deal damage to an Echo. Probably not. Not actually.
So
I mean,
all SKT needs right now is they need to just stop. Like, just don't do anything. Let Tigers do whatever they want on the map. The game is so busted open right now. Tigers doesn't even have a bottom tier 2 turret. So SKT needs to just concede.
Ghost on Cry. He's ghosting to try to run away. He realizes being flanked. This is the sick new Ghost that is so fast.
That was really quick.
Yeah, he also
That was like Quicksilver from X-Men.
Oh, I thought you were
Not
gonna go
quite as anticlimactic, but that was definitely quick.
Yeah, he was very, very fast there. Nice to see the new Ghost changes coming in case you guys are unfamiliar.
Elemental.
Ocean Drake.
Yeah.
Coming in there. In case you guys are unfamiliar with the Ghost changes, it now scales up as you level up. So that means that the later on in the game you are, the more move speed, the longer it will last, and it actually gets really ridiculous later on in the game. So nice to see that Summoner spell being picked up again. Cry using that to stay alive, but at what cost?
Yeah, at what cost indeed. And so now this is the point in the game that I'm talking about. SKG just needs to turtle their tier 1 and enable Tigers to basically do whatever they want with, you know, both sides of the river and all sort of vision control. Because it doesn't matter. SKT doesn't need any special sort of shenanigans to really occur. This dragon doesn't do anything for SKT or for Tigers really, because the timing for the water dragon to really, you know, be effective is generally pre-25 minutes. Now, of course, a dragon is a dragon, but you know, let's be honest.
Oh man, Bengi might have caught out Gorilla and Peanut. No CC to hold them down. The top lane, Duke will pressure this turret.
And it looks like Faker could lock them out of there. And I don't think that is the tightest of. No, that's definitely loose.
Yep, he can run all around that wall. Not the greatest construction project there.
Yeah. That was probably built in North Korea.
I don't know, man. The Great Wall of mid lane is what Faker's trying to put up, and I don't think that anybody's going to have too many things to say about that. Faker only died once off of that nice flank from Prey in the last Rift's Herald fight. Has been replaced by Baron Nashor. And even though we've seen maybe a little bit of a lackluster team fight there by SKT, they're still up by about 3,000 gold right now. So
right. But the gold deficit doesn't really matter yet until probably around the 35-minute mark, because that's when the base scaling from Tigers is finally going to be negated. So right now, there's still the base scaling that you have to factor in, and even though SKT is a scaling team composition and they're the ones that are ahead, the base scaling is sort of a hidden gold right now that really can't be calculated exactly, that is keeping them in the game when it comes to team fights. But as the game continues to move on in the next 6-7 minutes or so, that's going to continuously slip away from the Tigers.
We'll see if SKT can catch them slipping as the power begins to shift in their favor. It's not like it ever really shifted away from them, but they are a scaling team, so expect the strong to get stronger here as they clear out Baron Ward coverage. Duke going on an adventure here.
Yeah, and they're just clearing out some vision control around Baron, but this is the sort of stuff that I think is mostly unnecessary unless their only incentive is to try to capture Red away from Peanut.
Well, they do successfully steal that and put it onto Bang, so he will be a force to be reckoned with in this next upcoming fight. Another nice wall.
And now this is what they want to do, is they want runway fights. They just want a straight line where Anivia walls and Echo is able to just really go off. Alternatively, they would want extremely condensed fights in and around their wolves or their wraiths.
So you can get maximum value out of those Anivia
Anivia walls, correct.
Walls
yeah,
and
you really
ults.
want to just use your terrain to your advantage here against Tiger's team composition. I don't like the continuous defense of bot lane. I think that honestly SKT should just let it fall in favor of establishing better control around the map or opening up a dead lane that would directly go against Tigers.
Well, now Peanut, a little bit jealous of that previous red buff being stolen away. He's going to try for a red buff of his own. He gets it for Prey. That's actually really big. Nice to see Peanut able to, still secure a red buff for his AD carry.
And interestingly enough, no Seraph's Embrace as the second item on Faker here this game. Morellonomicon coming out a lot sooner, and this is probably just because they don't have the same level of control that they had in game number 1.
Oh, Never Move still catches Duke, but nice to see Smeb, blue buff in hand, able to completely dominate that lane now, which is definitely not a sentence you'd say out of game 1.
Right.
Big shift up towards the top half of the map here for SKT. They will not start this Baron just yet, but we'll clear it out. I
wonder if they're looking for a Nami bubble and then just try to pick someone off instantly who wards over the wall. And it looks like...
There you go. Gorilla gonna be the one to get caught out. Mina gonna get bubbled up there. Can he tunnel? No, not in time. Forced to flash over the wall, but he gets a double kill for Bang. And SKTelecom, exactly like you said, LS, they wait and bait. They grab a double kill.
And now all that they really need to do is just make use of Faker and please just secure the Baron.
Here comes a teleport in from Duke from the bottom lane, and yes, this is going to be a Baron. Although the world's shortest teleport up there to the mid lane for Smeb. Looks like Tigers are not going to give this one up without a fight. Lots of AoE there. We're interested to see who's going to grab this Baron. Bengi there versus Prey. Who's going to grab that kill? Duke there still in the pit. The Hemo play popping up. The Baron will force him to hold back in there, but oh man, they forgot about Prey. He's in the back. He's still got that damage. Cry trying to chase out onto Duke. Smeb on the flank there, but Bengi and Wolf, they're waiting to find this kill. Smeb not knowing what he's walking into. Duke, though, will go ahead and get out safe and sound. SKT disengage
Tigers needs to do a Baron call right now.
Oh,
and
Faker
they're
in a little bit
not.
of trouble.
They're tunneling on Articuno in mid lane.
And you gotta kill Faker, man.
No, they really just want that legendary bird.
It's the wow.
That flash wasn't
Gorilla
necessary. So definitely a lot of mistakes coming out. So I know that I said SKT, please just get the Baron, but honestly, when Tigers approached the Baron in the way that they did, hopefully we're gonna get a replay on it, that was the most cookie cutter stop Baron and just straighten them up calls that you could ever ask for in League. Because honestly, if they just instantly would have just left Baron and be like, okay, you came too far, we're going to kill you now, Tigers would have just had to bend over and die. So
usually when I die, I don't have to think.
Yeah, and looks like we're going to get a replay. And this is what I was talking about. Stop Baron right here and just light them up. What are you doing? Why are you...
Definitely committing.
Total communication errors, and I really don't know what to say because it's such a cookie-cutter call.
Cry really good positioning there in that fight. Faker pretty much just had to piece the scene, and that whole situation behind the Baron pit, I don't even know what happened there.
Yeah.
Duke is just running around all over the place. Dragon is actually up. It is an Ocean Drake again. We've seen 3 different dragons come up, and it will be a second Ocean Drake for Tigers if they are the ones to pick that one up, and it looks like they will be. Gonna grab the double Ocean Drake. Like you said, not as valuable now as it would have been early on, but oh, a little bit of catching on to Gorilla. Nice unbreakable, but will he be unbreakable? And he is taken out by Bengi. Cry forced to get out of there, but Prey in on the flank. I don't think you want to go in that way, Prey. Smeb versus Duke up at the top, and SKT find a big push up mid.
And this is the problem that I was talking about, is now the 30-35 minute mark is approaching, and the more time that passes, the more that Tigers' base scaling just falls off in the face of SKT's team composition. And this is the same thing I was talking about in the picks and bans in Game 1 and in Game 2, is they are going to struggle to really do anything against SKT's team composition because they're always fighting against a clock. And the Lucian build just doesn't do anything.
All right, well, Smeb gonna walk forward, does get double stunned, bubbled up, lots of damage down. Nice on his, and he will heal up underneath that, but ROX too hesitant to try to go into that fight. And Smeb's out of here. A full 5-man here for SKT, but Bang and Faker are very low in the back. Prey's still full health. Can he get in here for enough damage? Gorilla finally getting into that fight, but only after Smeb has died.
And that fight could have been a lot worse for Tigers had Faker just been in a little bit better position, but we saw saw how SKT stopped the Baron this time and just basically turned on Tigers and said, "Hey, what are you trying to do?"
What are they trying to do, LS?
I don't know, and I haven't known since their draft phase. So
it's a mystery, and
I don't know why you would pick a team composition that is reliant on getting ahead of your opponent and maintaining that lead, because you definitely can't expect to scale against the team comp that SKT picked.
Right, also very light on the crowd control, too. You really only have a knock-up and then another knock-up from Gorilla.
And what is Lucian doing? He doesn't do anything. Sure, maybe he's dealing relatively close to true damage, but that doesn't matter when he can't get close to these targets.
He's a lot more mobile than Ashe is, and in Game 1, Ashe's immobility was kind of a liability, because Duke was pretty much all on top of her the entire time. And
we see, though, how the Tigers team composition could benefit so much more from a Sivir, and they just don't have it.
Nope, let's go ahead and get a replay of that situation in the mid lane. All right.
And now alright, so SKT is entering into this phase where they can just literally keep doing rinse, wash, repeat over and over, and Tigers doesn't have a proper answer to it because they don't actually have any reliable split pushers outside of Rek'Sai, but if his ultimate's down, he can't do anything.
Peanut ultimate is down. No slow there from Cry's charge on Tides of Blood. No stun from Faker. Both teams poking out back and forth. Solo laners in the side lanes, chilling out there, but nothing too big going down just yet. Prey walking forward for a lot of damage. Bengi down by low, half HP. Here comes Cry. A teleport in from Smeb with a home guard, and SKT have to head for the hills. Bang will spell shield a little bit of that damage. He's very, very low and will have to disengage. Tigers find a huge team fight, and they're looking for Baron.
Yeah, and Tigers basically got a perfect team fight for what they needed to occur, because again, the game was really slipping away from them.
Can SKT fight this though? Looks like they might try. Peanut and Gorilla trying to get in there. I'm not sure if Peanut really wants to commit to this Baron. Looks like they are going to go in for it. Bengi pretty low here, and he will actually be forced off there.
Bang
Tigers
is here.
get out, but Bang with a huge kill on the Prey. Gorilla down for a double, and Bang just going off. You will finally drop there as the Tigers start to maybe turn this one around. Nope, just kidding. Cry. Gonna Cry. Dying in the pool, the Faker, and now only Smeb left alive. Sway's a great champion, but I don't know about this one.
Well, let me stop you there. No, he's
okay, well, there you go. A full 5-man ace for SKTelecom T1. They'll get the Baron.
That's probably the game. Immediately after taking this Baron, all that they need to do is lightly tap mid lane, or I can't actually see the lane right now. It does actually look like it's shoving into SKT, so that would actually just be better to recall off and then wake up as a team and shove that in. And Dragon coming up in 2 minutes, so that will still be alive for the duration of the Baron. And this is what I'm talking about. One person top lane, let mid shove into you, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that, so that's a macro mistake. And then as a team, you can push up and siege mid-tier 2 tower. And I just don't know what Tigers were thinking there on the attempted turn. So here you have the team fight beginning to break out, but you're against an Anivia, so either get off the Baron or burst the Baron. Make up your mind. Now, Anivia's wall was already down, so you could have gone into the Baron pit, but you have to know that Bang is en route to the fight, and once Bang shows up, you don't have very good itemization to deal with him. And it was very peculiar that Bang was actually able to get off a pseudo-flank in a way.
Right, he did flank, and he just blew Prey and Gorilla up. They pretty much just did not exist, and from that point onward in that fight, you could pretty much call them the Calendar Tigers, because their days were numbered.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be their new sponsor. They'll get sponsored by some calendar company.
Are there big calendar companies, though? I feel like you don't build your business solely off of calendars.
Why not?
Literally, how many calendars can you sell?
I don't know. I mean, the Mayans managed to sell their last calendar pretty well.
That is true. It's a pretty good one. You guys should check it out. But now the pressure of the mid lane Baron buff in hand or on body. I don't know in what way those purple crystals give you all those powers, but here comes Smeb.
Well, SKT needs to remind Swain right here that you're only good if you're ahead.
Oh, he does get knocked up there. He is walled out. A nice on his hourglass. And it's actually a good teleport here from Duke. He's going to be the one going in for a flank. There's actually Bengi, the one. He's going to go down. Crazy dashing over, dashing back over. He's dashing everywhere. And he's going to pick up the first kill of this fight for the Tigers. He had a little bit of a rough spot there, taking a lot of damage from Bang. Bang totally unharassed, able to deal so much damage in this fight. Duke in for one kill, might be looking for more. And look at SKTelecom. So much damage, but is it enough? Cray trying to put this damage down, but he doesn't have the rest of his team along with him. Having to retreat here. Cry with his Zhonya's, but how much longer can he survive? The answer, not long.
Yeah, and this is the problem, is Tigers just got another dream scenario, but nothing can happen. Why? Because Swain doesn't do anything unless you're ahead. And if you're going to pick a win harder champion, I mean, you may as well just have Yi coming in the jungle. Because the champion, he doesn't do anything, and so many teams are picking him right now, and he's so prioritized. Yes, he appears overpowered, but, and I will say that he does appear a lot worse in this team composition because it's too easy to itemize against the double AP, and Rek'Sai doesn't do anything, especially when he's being built tanky, and Lucian can't really aid his team with that Black Cleaver because there's no art, you know, there's only magic coming out.
Let's take a look again. They catch, they think they catch Smeb, and it actually turns out Bengi is the one that gets a little bit blown up here.
And Bengi just gets lit up, so this fight is almost a straight up 5v4, and still the Tigers can't find a way to somehow make anything work. Peanut, yes, getting caught out of position. Smeb says, you know what, I'm out of mana, and that's just not a very fun situation to be in.
Can't do anything to Duke. Duke is pretty much immortal at this at that point in the fight.
You can't do anything. Echo, nice champion.
And here comes the Elder Drake. I often thought if you're going to have elemental dragons, maybe you want to have, like, instead of an Elder Drake, like a Rainbow Drake, so that it's like, you know, multiple colors, so that each one of the 4 dragons, it's like Captain Planet, you just summon it, and then once you kill 2 of them, it's a double Rainbow Drake. I've thought this out. It's a long, elaborate plan. I've got this email ready to send to the Riot Balance team.
Okay.
I'm sure it's coming in an upcoming patch. How can you ignore that?
Well,
either way, the Drake is up there, and it is an objective that SKT will have the positional advantage for. They're ready to start it up, and they will. 10k HP ready left to go, and it's up to the Tigers. Do they want to position for this? Do they want to go in for this? They pretty much have to, but it looks like SKT will try to chase them away. So much damage from Bang, and a big catch there from Echo. The culling coming backwards, but not a lot of damage to be done there. Duke fairly low, but he's actually going to hold back in the fight. He does have a Guardian Angel there, but will he actually go down there? Got to put some pressure onto the rest of SKTelecoms. They are trying to find a nice funnel here through the jungle. Duke's still on the run, and with a good Z-Drive resonance, he'll find himself in a great spot. He's actually going to run right into Prey, who should be able to pop that Guardian Angel, but in the meantime, it's back on this Elder Drake. Gorilla gets sectioned off from the team. Will he be able to stay alive for very much longer? SKTelecom secure an Elder Drake for themselves, and Faker with another kill coming his way. Duke finds an escape again. And how does it work? I don't know. SKT, they're pretty good at League of Legends, LS.
Yeah. Duke is still alive, unlike Marin. And, you know, it looks like he's in top lane now, assaulting that tier 2 tower. He's going to take that down. Now, one thing I will say, again, is I don't like why SKT didn't just finish the dragon and use Anivia to basically create artificial terrain, making it really difficult for Tigers to come into the fight, because that dragon would have done so much, and maybe they could have just ended the game right now, and they could be killing the Nexus as we speak.
Well, they very well could be right now. You're going to see big pushes top lane and bottom. This inhibitor about to fall. One down. It looks like top lane, another chase onto Duke. Can they make it work? Duke does not have his ult or Guardian Angel, but SKT are trying to finish the game, or at least take one of these Nexus turrets. The wave will evaporate, so they won't be able to go in for it just yet, but Duke is relentless.
Yeah, and they just don't do any damage to him. He's too tanky for Lucian to handle. And this is what I was talking about. Oh, he's gonna die.
Zhonya's there from Smeb. He does have grievous wounds on him. Bang coming up with a kill onto Gorilla. A lot of damage coming into the back line, but the Tigers just cannot stay alive. A lucky ricochet there for Bang to pick himself up a triple kill. More kills left to come, or are there? Prey and Peanut onto the fountain. Faker with another kill, and Peanut, he's just going to stay alive for a little bit longer. A 21-7 victory as SKT triple up the ROX Tigers in kills and take a 2-0 victory in Week 3.
And I mean, I don't know what to say. I said that the team composition was just poor, and I don't know why they elected for it again, except this time with Lucian as the pilot AD carry. So, just doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe if this was any other team but SKT, yeah, the base scaling, the scaling, everything maybe could have come out. You hand another team SKT's team compositions, maybe they can't pilot them as well as SKT does, and ROX ends up walking away with the win. But because SKT is so good, the vulnerabilities of the Tigers team comp is able to be exposed.
Nice to see the Anivia pick 2 games in a row. Credit to Faker for bringing out a champion that was a little bit, I haven't seen too much Anivia, but nice to see that one work very well for them. Huge damage from Prey.
I mean, Bang's damage is absolutely enormous, and that was the other problem. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is, hold on, wait a second. Okay. One thing is, Proto Belt was useless. That thing was so useless.
Yo, man, it gives you a dash.
Whoever made that is going out of business. That thing was on clearance. Like, I'm not quite sure why Vladimir had that.
The thing is, it's actually pretty expensive.
It is.
You get a dash, man. It's like a free flash.
Oh, man.
Flashes, it turns out, actually deal no damage. Although the Proto Belt does, it's just not a lot there. So great job there once again.
Faker on your screen looking, he's like, why did I have to come here today?
It's like, man, I played 2 games of Anivia and I did nothing but just throw out ice balls everywhere. Although it does bring to mind the immortal words of DJ Snake and Lil Jon in their remix of Turn Down for What, in which they state, no ice in my drink, there's enough on my watch. And in that case, there was a lot of ice in the mid lane for Faker. Worked pretty well for him.
That was pretty good. All right, well, we'll
hard
see.
to recover from all that greatness right there, but that's what we just got a chance to see from SKT. A dominant victory in game number 1, and even more so in game 2. See Peanut.
He's like, what do I do?
Heartbroken there.
What do I do? Why did I have to play?
And he tried so
hard.
hard.
I think he was crying. His eyes were all pink.
Well, they did sub in Cry there into the mid lane for game number 2, and I'm not sure if it's the name or the action or what's going on, but there's going to be a lot to think about for the ROX Tigers.
He's like, oh man. Well, he doesn't know. I mean, honestly, compared to Kuro, he did a lot better against Faker.
And he went Proto Belt first, so some skills there. And he actually, to be ironically true, looks like the happiest member of the bunch, but wow, that is
that was a little bit peculiar. So I don't know. We'll see how again, against any other team but SKT, so far they probably would have won, even with the same team compositions. But because of how good SKT is, couldn't get away with it today.
Yeah, looks like we are about to go to our Sonokong IB MVP. It's gonna be Duke for his 3-0-8 deathless performance today. Not die once. Turns out Echo,
good champ.
Hard champion to kill. Everything went
4 patches and basically continued buffs. I love it.
Hey man, Echo's a pretty good champion. As far as Duke's concerned, everything went totally according to Keikaku. Keikaku means plan.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you. What language?
It could be Japanese.
Okay. Well, all right. Well,
everybody needs to tweet that meme at LS after this, just so that he can be more well prepared for the next time we cast.
I think he deserved that, though. I think he did phenomenal.
Totally well
today,
deserved.
Duke.
I mean, he only had 52% kill participation. Yeah. That's because he's by himself winning the game. He had a couple of nice scenic route escapes where he just kept on running, and that was that was contribution in and of itself. Super exciting games to watch, and man, Tigers, they've got a lot to improve on. Looked shaky in week 1, came back in week 2, now maybe back on the downside, but one thing's for sure,
SKT, right.
They are back, they are so consistent.
Yeah, and looks like we're going to go into an interview.
SKTelecom T1의 경기 결과 2-0으로 SKT가 승리를 거머쥐었습니다. 오늘 경기의 승리를 이끈 주역 선수들 한 자리에서 만나보겠습니다.
SKT over ROX, and here we go with our interview.
네, 먼저 1세트 MVP 뱅기 선수 만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
Congratulating Bengi on
자,
winning.
오늘 1세트 경기 더 정글 건재함을 입증했습니다. 소감이 어떠신가요?
일단 좀 첫 경기는 좀 긴장됐는데 아무래도 제가 좋아하는 챔피언을 잡다 보니까 좀 편한 마음으로 게임 임할 수 있게 돼서 MVP 받을 수 있었던 것 같아요.
지금 이 무대 앞에 정말 많은 분들이 뱅기 선수를 보기 위해 있어요. 그만큼 너무 오랜만에 MVP 인터뷰 자리에 서신 것 같은데 그동안 어떻게 지내셨나요? 봉인된 그 기간 동안.
제가 경기 안 나온 날이 104일이라고 들었어요. 그래서 그때 동안 좀 경기 보면서 제가 부족했던 부분 좀 보완하려고 노력했고 아무래도 솔랭에서 좀 열심히 하고는 있었어요. 잘 아실지 모르겠지만 그래서 경기 나올 수 있었던 것 같아요.
오늘 1세트 뱅기 선수 경기 내내 좀 짜릿했을 것 같아요. 강타 싸움에서 계속 이기는 모습을 보여줬는데 실피로 막 도망가는 피넛 선수까지 강타로 슬로우 걸어가면서 잡으셨어요. 오늘 좀 되는 날이라고 느끼셨나요?
제가 오늘 좀 강타 싸움에서 약간 좀 되는 날이라고 느낀 것 같아요. 아무래도 좀 자신감이 거기서 좀 붙었던 것 같아요.
오늘 1세트에서 정말 경기 초반에는 페이커 선수에게 블루 계속 떠먹여주고 또 적정글까지 가서 레드 스틸하고 정말 바쁘게 돌아다니면서 플레이어들에게 굉장히 편안하게 뛸 수 있는 공간을 만들어주셨던 것 같아요. 평소에도 좀 엄마같이 팀원들을 챙기는 스타일이신가요?
아니요, 저는 아무래도 뭐 팀원들을 잘 챙기진 못해요. 아무래도 제가 부족한 부분이 많다 보니까 제 앞가림하기도 좀 힘들거든요.
플레이 안에서만 그렇게 챙기게 되는 그런 이유가 있을까요? 뱅기 선수의 그냥 본능 아닐까요? 뭔가 챙겨줘야겠다는?
뭐 좋게 생각하면 그럴 수 있죠.
1세트 이 얘기 안 해볼 수 없을 것 같아요. 한창 탑에서 한타하고 있는데 뱅 선수가 아이쇼핑 도중에 참사를 당하고 말았습니다. 혹시 알고 계셨나요?
그건 건 알고 있었는데 코치님이 피드백 하실 때 그때 알았어요. 아이쇼핑 하고 있었던
그럼 그때 부스 안에서 뭐 별다른 분위기 변화는 없었겠네요?
그냥 뭐 따였네 정도밖에 생각 안 하고 뭐 별로 의견 같은 거는 없었던 것 같아요.
그렇군요. 저희 관객분들이랑 중계진분들이랑 굉장히 많이 재밌었거든요. 그 장면에서. 네, 부스 안에서는 별 문제가 없었군요. 자, 이제 다음 경기는 삼성과의 경기입니다. 1위 쟁탈전이 될 것 같아요. 어떻게 예상하시나요?
요즘 삼성팀 폼이 좋다 보니까 아무래도 쉬운 경기는 아닐 거라 생각하지만 1위 할 수 있도록 열심히 연습해서
we're gonna do our best.
하겠습니다.
네, 마지막으로 이렇게 열심히 사진 찍고 계시는 팬분들께 감사하다고 한 말씀 해주셔야 될 것 같아요.
제가 경기 안 나올 때 동안 응원해 주시고 뭐 많은 분들이 계시겠지만 감사하다고 전하고 싶습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 뱅기 선수 다시 한번 MVP 축하드립니다. 네, 팬들의 목마름을 한꺼번에 날려줄 수 있는 뱅기 선수의 활약상이었습니다. 이어서 2세트 MVP 선수까지 만나보겠습니다. 네, 듀크 선수입니다. 축하드립니다. 오늘 1, 2세트 모두 노데스 플레이 펼치셨어요. 알고 계신가요?
경기 끝나고 봤는데 노데스여가지고 오늘 경기가 좀 긴장돼가지고 몰랐었는데 알게 됐어요.
그만큼 오늘 굉장히 편안하게 경기를 즐기셨던 것 같아요. 맞나요?
아니요, 저는 오늘 첫 경기 이겨서 그냥 좋았다기보다 다행이다라는 느낌을 받았고 긴장 많이 됐어요.
2세트 1픽 에코 그리고 1세트도 에코를 좀 많이 밀어주는 분위기예요. 듀크 선수가 에코가 자신이 있어서일까요? 아니면 에코가 OP 챔피언이라고 생각하기 때문일까요?
그냥 선픽하기 좋은 챔피언이고 저도 굉장히 좋아하는 챔피언이라
If they're a really good champion, then we can
오늘
just take
경기
it.
초미의 관심사가 페이커 선수가 아지르가 밴됐을 때 과연 SKT는 어떤 카드를 꺼내들까였어요. 근데 1, 2세트 모두 애니비아를 선택했어요. 아지르가 밴됐을 때를 예상한 밴픽이었나요? 준비된 밴픽이었나요?
네, 저희 아지르 밴될 거 예측하고 준비하고 왔었어요.
그러면 다음 경기에서 애니비아가 밴됐을 때 다시 아지르를 꺼내주실 건가요?
페이커 선수 피지컬이라고 챔프 폭이 많이 넓기 때문에 밴해도 딱히 저희에게는 문제 없을 것 같아요.
락스가 세 번째 용을 너무 쉽게 가져갔어요. 그랬을 때 사실 그때까지는 경기가 좀 팽팽하게 진행되고 있었거든요. 근데 혹시 용을 가져가는 걸 알고도 그냥 줘도 된다는 판단이었나요?
저희가 용을 막기에는 이미 늦어가지고 바론 쪽으로 들어가자는 콜이어가지고 그냥 주고 다른 걸 취했던 것 같아요.
뱅 선수가 또 바론 한타에서 집에 가 있는 상황이었어요. 그때 5대3 한타가
Later
벌어졌던
on,
걸로
with the initial
기억하는데
Baron
벤
call, they were
선수가
too late to
위치할
get to
때까지
the
굉장히
dragons,
시간을 잘
so
끌어줬어요.
they just went straight to
그것도
Baron,
팀의
and that's why that
오더였나요?
Baron fight
벤
ended up
선수 올
taking
때까지
place.
기다리자 약간 이런 오더가 있었나요?
네, 그런 오더가 있었고 뱅도 계속 기다려달라고 해가지고 저희가 시간을 끌어줘가지고 좋은 한타가 됐던 것 같아요.
사실
And
지난
in the Baron
시즌까지는
fight, they were just
삼강체제다,
basically
삼강체제다
stalling
이런
for Bang
얘기가
to come up.
많았는데 지난
And
토요일
so it was
경기
just basically a waiting game where they
KT
were
그리고 오늘
waiting to
경기
pounce.
락스까지 이렇게 압도적인 경기력을 보여주면서
So it was more so
사실 이제
of a
3강이라는
Baron
말은 좀 무색한 것 같아요. 1강이라는 말들이 많이 나오고 있는데 듀크 선수는 어떠세요? 이번 시즌 독주 체제 유지될까요?
아니요, 이번 시즌 모든 팀들 다 경계 대상이라 저희 독주 체제라기보다는 그냥 재미있는 시즌이 될 것 같아요.
네, 그럼 마지막으로 팬들께 한
And she was
말씀
asking him
해주시죠.
if he thinks
어제 KT전에서 좋은 모습 못
SKT are the favorites to win the
보여드렸었는데 오늘
season.
보여드려서
And
좋고
he's saying that every team is
응원해주셔서
actually
감사합니다.
performing really well and
네,
they're strong.
2세트
So
MVP 듀크
SKT
선수까지
is going to have to keep
만나봤습니다.
improving to maintain their dominance over the league.
자, 그럼
And
오늘
thank
경기
you
결과가
for the
포함된 순위
interview.
변동 살펴드리겠습니다. 오늘 SKT가 2대0.
So now you can see the final ranking. Samsung Galaxy in first place, SKTelecom sharing that spot, but they will collide very soon. And SKT looking to take that first place spot in LCK Summer.
Yeah, it can be a very, very exciting matchup here as we finish things up. Our next match, though, will be Longzhu Gaming versus CJ Entis. Both teams with quite a few struggles this season. CJ struggling to get their act together and play as a team. Longzhu, they're just looking for a win, so or a series win rather. They've already found one, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow to watch that matchup, and hopefully you guys will be back here tomorrow as well for yet more LCK. Had a pretty fun set of games today, LS. So looking for a little bit more of the same.
Yeah, and I'm just excited to see SKT play again. They are on fire, it seems, and we're going to see if Samsung can actually do anything about that or if SKT is actually going to get first.
And it's interesting to see the teams sort of learn and grow and adjust. If what Taylor Swift says, that life is a classroom, we're all kind of learning here together, and I think it's very important to sort of see how the teams adjust over the course of the season. And we're only in week 3 of a bunch more games left to be played.
Yeah, that is true.
A bunch is like I don't know. It's a lot.
I think there's 6 weeks or 7 weeks left. 7 weeks left.
So,
correct. Yep.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of games left to be played. SKT and Samsung on top of the tables now, but that can turn at any moment.
Yeah.
Especially since they play each other this week. So excited to see that match, and of course our matchup for tomorrow between CJ and Longzhu. So you guys do not want to miss that. If you are in the Gangnam area in Seoul, make sure to come down to the Nexon Arena tomorrow. We'll be right back at the same exact time, so you guys do not want to miss it. In the meantime, a big thanks to everyone who did come out here. We had a totally packed out audience. We had a balcony full. We had every single
full
of
stadium.
our chairs, our bleachers in the back. There were people standing off to the side. Turns out SKT versus ROX is a pretty hype series, so it's nice to see everybody coming out and tuning in today.
Yeah. And I think that will about wrap it up for today's series. So
I think it will. So make sure to tune in back in here tomorrow. Big thanks to LS, to our production crew, to all of the artists that I quoted over the course of today's broadcast, and of course to everybody out there that tuned in and watched. Loved having you guys tweet at me with a response. Apparently it was Jensen who bought the proto belt on Vladimir, along with Fox and a couple of other players.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. Well,
hey man, lots of exciting builds and champions, and I cannot wait to see what comes out here tomorrow. But that should be all for us here tonight. So on behalf of all of us, we want to thank all of you for coming out and watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow evening for more LCK.
Songs that made us feel alive. We're satellites orbiting the moon. In the blink of an eye, the memories pass us by. Transmission's over now. Rest your weary head. Place your heart into my hands. Let's fly away. Only we could turn back time.
요